Hey everyone! It's April 17th and the Mario Kart World Direct just happened. Ever since the Switch 2 Direct, there's been so much backlash over Nintendo's pricing of its new system and its new games, especially with Mario Kart World. This was Nintendo's chance today to defend why the game costs $80, why it's setting an entirely new benchmark for Nintendo games. Many people, myself included, expected that there'd be a fully fledged single-player story mode of sorts, something big that they were going to reveal. Something big to justify why they're even having this Direct with all the footage that's already been put out of the game, and something big to justify why this game costs so much money. Now, I really don't want to be negative. I know there's a bunch of people excited about this game, myself included. I love Mario Kart, and I think this game's going to be a lot of fun. But as for why this game costs $80, we did not get any good justification. The Direct mostly showed us stuff we already knew, albeit in more detail. It did explain the new items in detail. It gave us a more in-depth look at some of the courses. It explained how eating food unlocks alternate costumes for characters. And it covered some things we've already seen plenty of, like Grand Prix and Knockout Tour. And they did confirm Rainbow Road. They didn't show it, but they did confirm that there's going to be a Rainbow Road. They also showed a battle mode, which was really good to see, although it's pretty par for the course for Mario Kart. Now, there were some things I didn't know, and maybe it's just me, maybe I haven't been paying enough attention, but I think these were new things that they were showing. So there's the charge jump, where you can hold down the R button and do a charge jump, which this seems fine. This seems like a fine addition. But then there's this rewind feature, which honestly, I struggled to understand. So at first glance, this seems kind of neat, and makes sense somewhere like free roam, where you might want to keep rewinding over and over to practice a trick. But my concern was that this could be done during a race. Now, this does rewind you, but not other racers, of course. So at first glance, it seems like it would only be a disadvantage to you to rewind. But imagine abusing the rewind to move back just a fraction of a second so that you can hit a competitor with an item. What I only noticed, though, when compiling this video is the fine print right at the end of this segment. It does say clearly rewind can only be used in free roam and when playing races solo. Okay, so it is really good to not have rewind in multiplayer because it takes concerns about abusing it totally off the table. But if I'm interpreting this right, you still have the ability to rewind when racing and doing Grand Prix solo. And this still seems really odd because you can still abuse it to give yourself an advantage, potentially, in certain circumstances. But I guess as long as you can't do it in multiplayer when you're racing actual humans, that's the main thing. But moving on from that, talking about free roam mode, this is where a lot of people had high hopes for this Direct. A lot of people thought there's going to be something really big and new and exciting shown here. And they did show some new details here. So they covered that you can open up objectives by hitting P-switches, as well as collect coins and hit hidden panels. So there is something to do in free roam, and it is really nice to have something to do. My only problem here is they didn't mention what this would unlock. Like, what's the point of doing all this in free roam? Will it unlock new characters? I hope so. That would be really neat. Because without having purpose, roaming around in free roam mode just to find collectibles and do a few little simple missions activated by P-switches, it doesn't feel all that interesting to me. So hopefully there is more purpose here and they just under-communicated. But this is a little disappointing because I think so many of us, this is the one thing we really wanted to see a lot of from this Direct. And I feel that they could have went into much more detail about these objectives in free roam mode. But yeah, aside from that, nothing was mentioned in terms of a story mode or a campaign mode. So I don't want to come off as the overly negative, cranky old man, but I feel Nintendo really blew the chance here to hype up the game. Given that they didn't have anything all that big or new to reveal here, they probably shouldn't have had this Direct at all. Or if they wanted to have it, they probably shouldn't have revealed as much content prior to this Direct through the treehouses and such. And don't get me wrong, I do think this game will be a blast. I just don't see an amount of content here that justifies $80. And personally speaking, all the additions on top of Mario Kart 8 don't do a whole lot for me. And I think Mario Kart 8 was close to a perfect racing game, honestly. So we've got the open world, which is neat, but it doesn't really add a lot. Like, I don't see how it enhances the actual fun of racing. Plus, the straighter, more boring connecting roads between tracks don't seem all that interesting. That doesn't feel like where the most fun racing is going to take place. The new items are cool. The grinding and wall ride mechanics are nice additions. The huge number of characters and costumes, again, are neat, but I don't think they'll make the core game any more fun. The collectibles and P-Switch objectives in free roam mode are probably the biggest, newest addition, at least in my opinion, but we didn't see much of them, so a lot of this just depends on how they're implemented and if they unlock anything interesting. So overall, I still think it looks like a great game. Mario Kart 8 is an extremely difficult game to follow up. But yeah, I don't see this as a revolutionary step up for Mario Kart 8, and I certainly don't think this Direct will do much to convince anyone who was on the fence or was not impressed with this game that this game is actually worth $80. If you were already excited for this game and thought it was worth the money beforehand, I'm sure you still are, but I don't think it's going to convince anyone to change their opinion here. So what do you think? What did you think of Mario Kart World and its price before the Direct? And what do you think afterwards? Do you think this game is worth $80? Let me know what you're thinking down in the comments below. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.